Hey guys, how y'all doing? It's me, Johnny, and welcome back to another Sorare video on the channel. Thank you guys so much for waiting until I was back, basically, from my trip to Netherlands. Spent around the week over there. Took a little bit of time off, basically everything. Pre-recorded a bunch of videos for the main channel and got all of them out there. And now your boy is here to hopefully entertain you with a few minutes of Sorare thinking and tactics, and basically looking back at what has happened throughout this entire summer period, in which I hoped to win big rewards and work my way towards a really good Champ Europe team and all those things that I had planned, and come into an understanding of that it hasn't worked out at all, that my plans haven't gone exactly like I wanted them to, and that is a reality that a lot of people will have to face, especially considering the amounts of money that I've put into the platform and the players that I've put it into, technically performing well, still having good L5s, L60s, L15s and such, but things never really coming together for me in one specific lineup. It has been a very rough summer period. So let's go through that summer period a little bit. I've made a couple of new purchases as well, a couple of straight swaps for players and such that we need to talk about. But if we go over to Sorare data and we take a look at like one of my players real quick, let's say Niklas Hedel, because I want to see when the European season kind of stopped. So it was around game week 274, right? And it came back to 8-9. At least that's what is happening with Austria. Niklas Hedel, by the way, a goalkeeper that we bought a long time ago. If we take a look at his price real quick, once again, if you guys can hear the feedback of the AC unit, I put it on silent mode now, but I'm sorry about that. It's extremely hot. It's 32 degrees where I'm recording right now, Celsius, and it's a pain to be sat in this room with all the lights and everything. I get to sweating big time. It's like 40 degrees in here. But if we take a look at the price history of Niklas Hedel, we can see something really beautiful. So Niklas Hedel we bought for around 1,700 euros at the time. And then he came crashing down towards the 840. There was uncertainty about him actually being the main goalkeeper. Towards the end of the season, he did not get any playtime, but I stuck to him because a lot of Austrian League experts, people like Josh Forth, huge shout out, they have been talking to me and other people in the Discords that I'm in, and they have been pretty confident that Niklas Hedel would be the main goalkeeper. Now we're looking at a situation where he's going for double the price that we bought him for, which is beautiful. But the main thing that I wanted to do here was I wanted to see when the European season basically ended. So let's say game week 274. Let's jump over to my SF5 stats and see what happened in the summer period. So game week 272, let's pretend that's the last week for the European games. We won ourselves a Luca Nets, and then game week 282, throughout the entire summer period, we have won one reward. And he went for 50 euros at the time. Yep, that's the harsh reality of Sorare sometimes, guys. And that's something that I had to personally, you know, understand and live with. And it taught me big lessons. Honestly, it genuinely taught me huge lessons, because I went from feeling like, oh, I kind of solved Sorare now, I understand things, and winning someone like a Takaoka and Onana and selling them both on for like 4,500 euros, and then winning more back to back. And I was like, yes, I finally made it. I finally understand how things work out. But then basically harsh realization kicked in, and we realized, no, you don't know anything. You just got lucky in those times, and you know, luck plays a big factor. It really does. How do I see the team that I won this one with? I thought I could see that somewhere. I was kind of hoping I would, but game week 262 and game week 263. Let me just quickly see what teams we had back then and how we won those players. So at the time, All-Star Rare Pro. Yeah, that was exactly where it happened. So All-Star Rare Pro, what did I win this with? I won it obviously with the same players that we have right now, Morishiga and Slovik, where both of them have dropped a couple of stinkers throughout the summer period, but still gave me enough opportunities to still be winning rewards. So it wasn't really on Slovik or Morishiga. They were still getting good like points for me that wouldn't necessarily kill lineups. And they gave the other players enough opportunities to be doing well themselves. If we take a look at Slovik, his points here, you can see that he had a couple of decent games, like that 70, that 64, that 56, that 46. Those were games that were totally usable for me to be able to get enough points still, and obviously get the score bonus on it, on top of it, like 20, 25%, whatever it was with these players. That was still a very good point total, getting it off those players. So it wasn't really down to my super rares, in my opinion. Then when you take a look at the players that won me these rewards, it was Moussa Dembele, it was Vitinha, two players that I really followed at the time and felt like, hey, you know what? These players I have a lot of faith in. Moussa Dembele, I was one of the people that, you know, really got stuck into and thought, you know what? I really believe this guy's going to be quality. And yeah, at the time, it worked out really to perfection. Can I see when I bought this man? Is there any possibility? So I sold him around there for 850 euros. His price has come back up again, but we bought him. Where did we buy him at? Oh, I can see it here, right? No, I can see it right around there. So 16.3. So March, around March time, I did get myself a Dembele. So if we go back down here, so that's around the area where I got him. First game, 62 points. Then he had a stinker. Then a good game again. Then a couple of stinkers back to back. And I was kind of contemplating letting him go. But then I stuck with him. And then look at the scores towards the end of the season. Moussa Dembele was unbelievable for me. And just having that stronger side, a better team, really, like a Lyon side, where I knew each player and I kind of understood how they played and I kind of understood what kind of points he could be getting against decent matchups. Like, playing matchups is so much better in Europe than it is for the Asian and MLS regions, for me personally, at least from my experience. Playing the matchup game and putting that Dembele up against bad opponents, like a Bordeaux, for example, like a Brest even there. They weren't that good. Montpellier, putting him up against Marseille, because I felt like Marseille wasn't necessarily doing well at the time. You can see right there, that's a 3-0 win. Against Metz, it was expected that he would score. Against Nantes, I was like a bit shaky, didn't know if he could pull it off, still pulled it off. Like, this guy has been absolutely amazing. And obviously, I haven't ridden this one up until the end. I'm not too sure. Did I sell him on before it was all done and dusted? When did I sell him? So I sold him around June. What is that? 6th of June. Let me see. Where is that? Yeah, I sold him after the season. Yeah. So yeah, I basically had him in this incredible period. And I understood Dembele is class. The team plays everything through him. He takes penalties. He is the main man up top. And he had good matchups. And I feel like the whole matchups thing, I completely lost the idea of putting players into lineups because I feel like they had the best matchups. Instead of going for best matchups, what I've done throughout this summer period has been just go for the best players. Technically, on paper, I bought myself a bunch of amazing players. If we go game week 263 as well, again, another masterclass from Slovik and Morishiga. And then we had, again, Dembele scoring, Dimitri Payet scoring, Saliba doing well. Obviously, Saliba at the time was at Marseille up against Nantes at home. I was hoping he would get a good game, and he did, despite no clean sheet, because I believed in Saliba. I knew of his capabilities, and I thought at home Marseille around that time would be getting those points to go and qualify for Champions League football, and it all turned out well. It is so much more predictable, in my opinion. European football was so much more predictable for me. I could expect certain players to perform to certain levels at the time, and I did really well at that point. Like 473 points, we got ourselves a podium finish, and we got ourselves 2 back-to-back star rewards, sold them on for big money, made up for a lot of the losses that we had in terms of fiat value, and I was a very happy man. And then for some reason, I moved away from playing the matchups game, and I moved into just getting the best players and technically making it easy for myself. So I got myself a Hill. So we got Hill. What happened? I literally believe, let me just take a look at where I got him. Can we see this on this price graph? I think we can. So we got him around the 13th of the 6th month. So if we go into here, 13th of June, that's basically right around there. So what happened? I got Hill, 82 points. Right? That's great. But at that point, I believe the game week was locked in or something. I didn't really put him into a lineup there, or I didn't have enough players to put him into a lineup, and he got a good game. Then the next game he did well. I believe the rest of my players kind of let me down. In some of these game weeks, I actually got a reward as well, but as you guys saw, it wasn't really worth anything. But then technically the best player lost his best teammate, Buxa. He has left, and then New England has been doing well with other players and hasn't really been able to put Hill into a position where he was performing. So that was an issue. Then I got myself Cecilia. I got him for a really good price. I'm very happy with the amount that I spent on a Cecilia. I got him quite cheap, somewhere around these areas at the time, I believe. And then he started kicking off. 85, 86, 81, 82, 69. Like, I got him around there. And I was very happy with his performances, but the rest of the team would constantly let me down. Then he started letting me down as well throughout the summer period. And we got ourselves a bunch of DMPs and such. And it was just a huge letdown. And one thing that I noticed with these ones is Diego isn't necessarily an incredibly dominant side. The Carl Hill situation, his team isn't necessarily dominant. With Olympique Marseille, I had players in a team that were like top 2, top 3 throughout most of the season with amazing matchups against lower tier opponents in their own leagues. And I knew exactly what to expect. But throughout this summer period, the number one thing I personally have learned has been go for matchups, man. Don't just go for the game, like the players that get the high scores. Go for the matchups and play it wisely. And I made that mistake over and over again throughout this summer. And it just didn't work out for me. So from now on, I'm glad. I'm so happy that all these players are coming back for me now, especially my under-23s. I cannot wait to see what happens here. Niklas Seidel comes back, first game, clean sheet, 71 points. Let's go. Osako has been quality. Throughout the entire summer period, he has been amazing for me. He goes for around the same price at the moment. I will keep a hold of Osako, especially because I've made another purchase just now. But I have 3 teams that I'll be playing once the European season fully comes back, and I work my way into more lineups in the future, hopefully winning a bunch of rewards. But the one thing that I will do is I will have my All-Star Rare Pro team. I will have my All-Star Rare team, in which I will put some of my under-23s and other players into it that didn't make it into the All-Star Rare Pro or under-23. And then I will have my under-23 Rare team. Now, if you look at my gallery, it has a bunch of under-23 eligible players. So 2 goalkeepers. First of all, that's quite huge because we can't really take Young Kwang serious. He is just a specialist goalkeeper to have. He could be huge in that specialist region for me, which I will dabble into a lot more now that I will have a lot more players to my exposure. But then going into defenders, I bought myself a Sven Botman. I just personally felt like he was way too low. I bought him for around 700 euros just a couple of days ago. And I will tell you why I bought him. It came through a sale that I've made, on which I made 700 euros profit. And I spent it on Sven Botman because I personally think he is going to be quality for Newcastle. He seems to be set in the starting lineup. Pre-season games, I talked to a couple of Newcastle fans on social media. They seem to be believing that this guy could be quite huge. And I personally believe that he is a very talented defender. And yes, he's going to be playing in the Prem. But I believe Newcastle is on the up. Newcastle will continue to spend a huge amounts of money to improve their team and bring in more and more good players. And Sven Botman could be part of a club that grows to have some insane players in their team and keep a hold of them as well, because they have the financials to be able to offer these people a lot of money. So I can see Sven Botman being a part of that team for the next 2 years that I'll hopefully have him for, and he will hopefully perform for me. But mainly I brought him in as a guaranteed starter type situation because I think he is. And as you guys know, we have a situation with Saliba where I don't know if he plays. I don't know if he does or not. Arsenal are keeping a hold of him. Yesterday, I believe they played against Chelsea, and Saliba was incredible. He was amazing in that game. And on social media, all Arsenal fans seem to be very, very happy with his performances. They want to see him play in the starting lineup, and I really, really hope he does. And even as a right back, I hope he does, because I think Saliba is great on the ball. I don't think he will ever be a right back to bomb forward and like get past people and then whip a cross in. I think he would be a defensive right back, which could still lead to good scores. But mainly, I'm hoping he plays centre back and Ben White plays that right back role. That's what I'm hoping for. But Saliba could actually be set to play in that starting lineup for Arsenal. And Arsenal look to be a very strong team right now in preseason. Gabriel Jesus is doing incredible things. And I think Nep will be very happy to hear me say that I believe Arsenal will be a big team in the Premier League next season, doing very well throughout the entirety of it, with a lot of players like Saliba hopefully performing on a very high level. Now, you can see Fuji here. I only have one eligible under 23 super rare at the moment. I am trying to move on Haruya Fuji. I'm probably going to be buying myself 2 super rare under 23s in the coming weeks and days. That is my plan. That will be probably my last big investment on the platform for now, because I feel like I have very good lineups in terms of under 23 rare. I have the likes of Hedel or Osako. I can play the lineup game, the matchup game. So every single week, I will be choosing in between these two. The better one goes into the under 23 rare. The other one goes into the all-star rare. The all-star rare team is not necessarily a team that I hope to win massive rewards in, but it is a team that will be capable of winning rewards. So Osako and Hedel, one of those two will be going into under 23 rare alongside someone like a Saliba. Saliba would be my first choice, of course, because he's an amazing ball player, great pace on him, and just could get amazing AA scores throughout their games. In midfield, I would be rocking Orkun Kökçü and Vitor Ferreira. Yes, both of these guys will be in my lineups if they both stay at their clubs. I mean, Vitinha obviously stays at PSG, just transferred over there. His price has skyrocketed. I bought him for 1.28 ETH. He's now up to 1.85. In terms of fiat, he's right around the area what I spent on him. And a lot of people seem to think that Vitinha could be in a starting lineup for PSG. And if he is, my God, having another 23 player in a team with Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar in there, it could be insane, because this guy could be playing a pass for getting an assist a lot of times from someone like a Messi, from someone like a Mbappe and Neymar. I could see him do really, really well. I just hope he gets a chance to take some set pieces as well, because at Porto, he did have set pieces, but obviously we have Messi and a bunch of others at PSG that will be taking those. So I don't expect him to get those, but he could have amazing AA scores due to a lot of the possession being held by PSG in Liga, possibly, and them dominating the game a lot more than they used to. Maybe not going gung-ho and counter-attacking the hell of out of opponents all the time with the likes of Mbappe running in behind, but playing a more controlled game and just dominating possession like most of the most successful European teams are doing. So I would hope Vitor Ferreira plays a big role in there. And his price indicates that a lot of people seem to think that is the case. Now, for Orkun Kökçü, I'm very happy to see that he has recovered from his price downfall. I mean, he was down big time, as we can clearly see. How long did I have him already? I bought Orkun Kökçü on the 2nd of February. Obviously bought massively into the hype. Used Musiala in a swap deal, plus money to get Kökçü at the time. It was a stupid thing to do now looking back at it, but Kökçü has been one of my most successful players, I believe, in terms of like his scores throughout the period that he has been at the club. And it seems like he could actually stay at Feyenoord. I've seen a lot of news on him possibly sticking around. He apparently wants to play one more season for Feyenoord and then move on as a more established player to kind of get teams to realize that he's not going to be a backup but a starting lineup player for any big teams he joins into. And I fully back him. So as we can see, lately his price has gone up a lot. He's up to 2,365, which is great to see. And yeah, man, I'm really hoping that this boy can do as well as he used to in terms of ETH. He's getting back up around the price that I paid for him, which is good to see as well. And then we have Pablo Ruiz, obviously, which will be a backup, probably will land in the all-star rare team most of the time, but is a great backup to have. Never really kills lineups, sometimes boosts them massively with a decisive, so could be a good one there. And in terms of forwards, lads, I've gone big. And a couple of players have left the squad. Castellanos moving over to Girona. I jumped out of that one as fast as I could. Really, at the end of the day, I've let go of 2 players that I really, really liked. And the one being Sinisterra. Yep, Sinisterra joined Leeds United. And after watching a couple of videos and understanding that I cannot expect the same kind of scores from Sinistera, otherwise he would be going for Mbappe type or Jota type prices. And that's just not realistic. I kind of had to give up my bias on Sinistera and moved on from him. So Sinistera and Castellanos have been used to bring Thales Magno into the team. I think I can have an amazing period here with Thales Magno playing for a quite dominant side in New York up until basically the September, October type of time, where hopefully September, November type of time, where hopefully we will be getting a bunch of rewards out of him. I mean, his scores have been really, really good, and having an attacker, a forward that can actually get good AA scores and not kill a lineup, that was kind of what I was looking for. And he has very nice highs here with the 70 pluses. So I've gone for Thales Magno, especially now that Castellanos has left the squad. I feel like he's going to take on more responsibility. I feel like he's going to take the pens, because I've seen him take a pen for New York City, unless Morales wants to take them most of the time. But I believe Magno is being pushed on as the next big thing out of New York, and they might be looking for a big money move for him in the upcoming season. So yeah, Magno, I brought him in because I believe in him. And then we also have Jesus Ferreira and Brenner. Ferreira has been solid throughout this entire summer. Brenner has been a huge surprise. So generally speaking, guys, we have 3 great under 23 forwards where we can play the matchup game and put one of them into All-Star Rare and even into All-Star Rare Pro if necessary. So very happy with the setup for the under 23s. But as I said before, I need to get super rares, and I might have to reinvest a little bit of money once again to be able to do so. I kind of moved away from the Champion Europe dream that I had, because at the end of the day, I have to be realistic. And in order to be really genuinely competing in Champion Europe Rare on a consistent basis, I would have to spend so much more money, and my budget is probably better allocated in a different area, which means that I have a bunch of players to sell and a bunch of players to take some money out of. So someone like a Mazraoui, who I held on to a long time because I personally believe he will do really well at Bayern Munich and get really good scores. I still have him here. I think I might move him on. I think I might cash in on him. So Mazraoui might leave the team soon. I need to get the funds. I think I have around 5,000 euros in players that I personally think I should be moving on. I also brought in Hayato Araki just now. Reason being, every time I'm going to put All-Star Rare every time I'm going to put Osako into All-Star Rare, I want to have the possibility of having him rock alongside Araki and Sasaki, have that Sanfrecce stack. They have been doing incredible things this season, especially defensively. So I think that could be a huge boost to any All-Star Rare team. So yeah, I'm pretty much looking forward to having that triple stack in there, or possibly if Hadel has a worse matchup than Osako, put Hadel in there alongside with Sasaki and Araki, and hopefully get some decent points out of it. And then I'm moving on players like Marlon, Chiellini. I'm moving on Hanbyom possibly. But then again, I would like to keep him as a backup defender. But then I have just brought in Botman. So I probably will move on Hanbyom once he has a decent score again. So there are a bunch of players that are worth a total of like 5,000 euros that I could move on. And that could result in getting 2 actual decent super rares, or getting 1 really good one, and then reinvesting a little bit more to get another really good one, and, you know, strengthening up the under 23 rare pro lineup. Ideally, what I would like to do is I would keep one of Hadel or Osako in the under 23 rare pro. Then I would put in someone like a super rare defender into the under 23 rare pro team. Possibly up to 2 super rare defenders actually, and link them up with whoever here, or Kunkukchu or Vito Ferreira, and then one of these boys who has the best matchup, possibly Magno most of the time because he plays in the best team and seems to be doing the best. So I am looking at something like that. And then instead of putting out another all-star rare team, I might just go for another under 23 rare team where the other goalkeeper gets played. And then we possibly put in Kim Young-Fang into the all-star rare team with the old players alongside him, just for the threshold, or possibly getting myself another decent goalkeeper for that period and putting him alongside those all-star rare players. Hopefully through winning rewards we can afford that. That should be something we can go for. But ideally what I want to play is Gas Pro, so all-star rare pro, all-star, under 23 rare pro, under 23. I think that's something that my gallery is set up for the most. And then in terms of the under 23 rare pro, again, it would either be Hadel or Osako, obviously. And then 2 super rare defenders, I'm thinking. Then the third player, the fourth player would be Kirkchu or Vitinha. And then as a forward, one of these guys. That would be a great lineup. And it would still leave me with a bunch of good players to put into a regular under 23 rare on the off chance we can do well there as well. And keep strengthening those lineups as we move on, as we hopefully win more rewards. And yeah, I'm very hopeful when it comes to the Europeans coming back. I think it gives me great options in terms of Gas Pro lineups as well. Like when I don't feel like Hill or Cecilia have great matchups, I can put a Kirkchu or Vitinha in there who can hopefully do really well for their team. So if we go over to like game week, I think it's like 294 where most of the guys are back, or possibly 296. So All-Star Rare Pro. Let me take away this under 23 rare team because Castellanos is not here anymore. So if we move over into the future now and we go All-Star Rare Pro, we could have Slovik at home against Osaka. Could be a decent game, actually. So we could have Slovik Morishige, the pairing of dreams. Then Hill is up against DC United. That's a good matchup. One of those matchups that you dream of for Hill. Then in the attacking position, see, Cecilia, first against 8th. Probably not going to do too well there. We could put in someone like a Thales Magno into this lineup, or even putting a Jesus Ferreira in there because he has a good matchup as well. And even a Brenner has a decent matchup there. So I believe I probably would go Jesus Ferreira in this one because he plays at home. But Thales Magno is incredible. I don't know. He's just too good. And he seems a bit more inevitable than other players. So we can put some of our under 23s into these spots and see this. Vitor Ferreira, 58. That would be a great opponent score. PSG absolutely dominating that game. You would hope so. And that would be a very good lineup, right? That would be a very, very good lineup. Or we could put in someone like a Dimitri Payet, who I still have. Could be another one that we sell. But I feel like Dimitri Payet could be very huge for the All-Star Rare team. So I'm kind of holding on to him because I think he still has a very good season in him. I just hope that Marseille make the right moves in the transfer window. Moving on from that, we have Acosta, who is, again, an amazing player. We have Kirkchu, who I could easily put in there. So as you can quite clearly tell, I will have an abundance of players to play the matchup game again. And I genuinely cannot wait to be able to do that. I honestly cannot wait. And when we look at something like an under 23 rare team, again, if we have all the boys back, like here, I'd probably put in Osako. I'd probably go for a Saliba against Leeds, against Leicester there. That is probably the game I would go for. Brighton against Newcastle. You know what? In that case, I might actually go for Sven Botman. They play away from home. Let's go with the Arsenal man at home. Midfield, again, as I said, Vitor Ferreira would go in there because he has a great matchup, possibly, if we don't necessarily get any other players to put into the Gas Pro team. But since we have put other players into Gas Pro, let's go for Kirkchu here. That would be a great matchup. Then Jesus Ferreira goes into this one instead of Thales Magno. And the last one to put in could genuinely be any of these guys. Obviously, this time around, I probably would go something like a Pablo Ruiz against Seattle, though. Quite a tough one. I think I would probably go with Brenner then with the double forward stack. So it gives us a lot of opportunities to put together great lineups. And I think the right thing to do for me at this point is to possibly keep things as they are. Don't go too crazy. Yes, I've made a couple of moves, and especially the move I've made, the biggest move I've made just now facilitating all these transfers was the move of Fausto Vera. So I bought Fausto Vera for around 1,000 euros, sold him on for 1,700, used the 700 profit to buy Botman, and reinvested the 1,000 somewhere else with likes of Araki coming into the team to strengthen up. And the good thing that we could have in the future as well is something like this. Let's go to game week 296. I could even have an Asia rare lineup that could be quite competitive. Like, let's pretend we would be getting ourselves a different goalkeeper, but let's say Kim Yong-Fan, we get a different goalkeeper there. I could put Sasaki in there. I could put Lee Myung-jo into this one. I could have Cecilia play this one because it's not a priority lineup. He could still get a 50-point game against Ulsan. That is very much possible. Ulsan seems to concede every single game. And I could put in an Araki in there, which means I could have an Asia rare team as well. So there are a couple of things that we can work our way towards, and that's a pretty competitive team. By the looks of this, you can see the scores. Like, let's say we captain Sasaki there. You see a bunch of these have won rewards there, and I wouldn't be against it. I really wouldn't. But you can kind of tell that I have high hopes for the Europe season coming back, and I completely understand that I went away from what was successful for me, which was playing the matchup game and instead going for the biggest and best players. Now I'm hoping I can play the matchup game again and do the right things and, you know, just get the best out of the gallery. I really hope I can. But even though I haven't been winning throughout this summer period, I can tell you guys right now, I really enjoyed myself. Like, genuinely. Throughout this entire period, I still had so much fun on Sorare. It really helped me to entertain myself during a period where European football wasn't there. I was still hoping every single game week that my boys would do well, and it would give me another adrenaline rush when they would. So at the end of the day, yes, I didn't win anything, but good thing is a bunch of my players have skyrocketed in value. Players like Niklas Hedel, players like Vitinha, a bunch of them have gone up in their value, and I've made a couple of signings that I'm pretty happy with, and I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy with how things are at the moment, and I'm very, very hopeful of what's to come with the European season coming back. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this full revamp of what has happened in this summer period and what I'm looking forward to. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. I personally am very excited about what's to come with these European seasons coming back, and hopefully utilizing my knowledge that I've gained throughout this summer with playing the wrong things. Hopefully I can do the right things in the next summer, and I'm genuinely looking forward to the next summer period where I will for sure be playing the matchup game instead of the best player, highest scorer game, because that has seemed to be the right way of doing it. So next season, I'm buying players from the best teams, best performing teams, and not necessarily always the best players in those teams, but just going for the matchups that based on that. So that's me done for now. The summer period is about to be done. Thank you guys so much for watching. We used to be at around 14% reward winning lineups. We are down to 12.6. Let's work that back up again. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Take care and peace.